I want to introduce my friend, Winnie Sun. Now, Winnie comes up to me last year at FinCon, and to put it mildly, I think I could say she was a fan of mine, which made me feel kind of like, whoa, how could this person who's pretty famous be a fan of me who nobody recognizes? And my joke is I'm famous 1 week a year, this week. But tomorrow, nobody will know who I am. But Winnie was like, oh, I read your stuff, and I'm into credit cards, and I follow this stuff. And the more I got to know about her, I realized who she was. She is not just a financial analyst or a financial advisor, and a very successful one at that. She's also, if I believe, one of the most popular, if not the most popular, of the women financial advisors on social media. Big social media powerhouse. Beyond that, she's also a powerhouse with traditional media, newspapers, television. I think we see her on CNBC rather frequently. But more importantly, she's just a fun person to talk to. So I said, Winnie, no, she volunteered. She wanted to do a keynote. Oh, I'd love to do a keynote at your event. I says, great, come on up here and talk about whatever you want. She goes, no, I don't want to do that. I want to sit down with you and have a conversation. I want all of the audience to see me and see her the way we experience each other together. Like last night we had dinner, or we did some media filming at her office, and we just have this dynamic. And she says, I want everyone to see that and to learn from us that way. So we're doing it a little differently here. I'm going to invite Winnie up on the stage, and we're just going to chat, and I think you're going to find what we have to say very interesting, because there's an intersection between her role as a financial advisor, her stardom on social and traditional media, and her, dare I say, passion for credit cards. So that said, Winnie Sun. So Winnie, even though we've gotten to know each other, I haven't gotten to know you that well that I don't really know your origin story. Like, I want to know how you first got to be a financial advisor, how you got into the whole social media stardom. And I'm saying this as someone who, whatever the opposite of a social media star is, that's who I am. So I'm genuinely curious. And then how you also got into credit cards. Why that tickles that little bone in your body that all of us probably have in common.
Oh, well, credit cards are so awesome. But, okay, so start with, how do I become a financial advisor? I think that was your part one.
Yes.
Your question. Okay.
Yeah, how did you get into this? Were you delivering pizzas and then one day decided to be a financial advisor? Or did you you've always wanted to be so since you were 3?
Oh, goodness. Well, my life is a series of accidental, fun, unique events. So, how I became a financial advisor goes back in the day. Meaning, about 3 months before starting college, so I am the child, as you may see, I'm the child of immigrant parents that came from Taiwan from a plane into the United States, and they grew up, they started plugged into Hollywood, had me, I was born, and over time they were incredible savers. Like the typical Asian family, they knew how to make money and save money, not make a lot of money, but they knew how to save like nobody's business, right? So we couldn't spend anything. I remember growing up, I was 9 years old, and I was working in my dad's pizza store, and I had memorized that back in the day there were no smartphones, and even cash registers were manual. I memorized the tax table to every item on our menu. So you can imagine how successful a pizza restaurant is having 2 Asian people running it that didn't serve alcohol. So, I was really good at serving soda and selling soda because, I could run a cash register. But we saved and saved and saved, and right before I started college, I had this dream of where I was going to go to. I'm based in Southern California, and I got admitted to pretty much all the great schools because as an Asian kid, right, we couldn't do sports, not that. I'm pretty much all we have in terms of choice to study. So I was actually typical, really good Asian kid, got into all the top schools, and I was all destined to go to a very nice university in Northern California. And then my mom pulled me aside, and bear in mind that my mom is as soft, she is as tough as nails, all right? This woman could walk through a wall. My mom is so tough, so strong, and I remember talking to her, and she pulling me aside, and she goes, honey, I have something to share with you. And it was really weird, because she had this shiny eyeball thing going on. You know what shiny eyeball is?
I've never heard that expression.
Okay, well, you'll understand in just a moment. She has shiny eyeball. I'm like, what happened? She's like, well, remember the project that Dad and I invested, okay, inner Chinese, this is not Chinese. Remember the project that Dad and I invested out in Claremont, that apartment complex condo project? I'm like, oh yeah. She's like, well, that was supposed to be your college education. I was like, okay. And she's like, well, the partners went bankrupt, and so we're going bankrupt. I was like, what does that mean? And she's like, well, you can't go to that college, and we don't have any money left, and so we're in trouble. So I was like, oh my goodness. So long story short, 3 months before college, I ended up staying in state. I went to UCLA, and the first week of school, when most people were excited about making new roommates, making new friends, and all that, I had one goal, and that was I needed to find work. And I needed to find work quickly, because it wasn't just paying for college, because I have Auntie Sally Mae for that. But it was about helping Mom and Dad keep the house. And at that point, my dad had completely broken down, because mentally he felt like he failed the family. So he couldn't really function. And since then, since at that time and on, and into now, he can't really work, because he just, that mental, he was lost. So my mom worked her tail off, and as soon as I started college, I found work after work. I was doing access control at night, and I worked 2 jobs during the day, and eventually I found myself working at a law firm. And when you intern a law firm, what they do is they have you do really special duties, including stapling and copying, right? And I realized that that might not be like my future. So I went back to the internship office at UCLA, and I got myself a job on the show Jones and Jury. Anybody heard that show back in the day? Okay. Well, Star Jones is like star lawyer, so I worked on the show, and I got hired to do legal research, right? Because I was thinking at this point, when you're Asian, you're Chinese, you have 3 options: doctor, attorney, and lawyer. So not a lot of choice. So I was like, oh yeah, I'll be an attorney, right? This will work. So I went and did legal research, and the first week that I was there, they said, well, we're shorthanded, so we're gonna have you work in the audience department. Started working in the audience department, and became a page. So what's a page? Those of you who know TV, it's the most glamorous role. It's a person who walks the person from the audience to the stage, or to the from the door to the audience to the restroom, and you get to collect gum. So you want to make sure nobody's chewing on camera. So that's what I did. I walked people back and forth, and eventually, when I was working on another show called America's Funniest Home Videos, the producer on the show said, hey, UCLA, of course, you don't have a name when you work in TV. UCLA. I was like, yeah. He's like, well, one of the producers is going on medical leave, so we wanted you to step in because you're pretty good at your job. And I said, yeah, I'm pretty good at walking people to and from the audience, right? To the restroom. And they're like, yeah, that's what you're going to do. So that's what I did, and eventually one of the larger producers pulled me aside and says, UCLA, you're so good at this that if you start a company, I will send you all my shows and all my daughter's shows. And that meant the entire America's Funniest Home Videos, Wheel of Fortune, Jeopardy, Judge Judy, all the MTV pilots, American Gladiator. So basically, at the age of 22, I ran the 2nd largest television audience production company in the United States. I was moving thousands of people left and right, left and right. And life was good. I was rocking. That was my first successful business. I went to Staples, maybe it's Office Depot. I bought this is before my 5 times points card. I got myself a floor model, fax machine. They existed back then, and I was in business. So from there, I thought I was doing pretty well. I was driving a BMW. Yes, it was salvaged. Yes, I bought it at a police auction, but it was a BMW. I got to eat craft services. Yes, I was the last person in line, and everybody else picked through it before I got there, but I got to eat craft services, and I thought life was good. Until Mom said, your sister's gonna go work at Google, and we didn't send you to college to work in TV. I was like, oh, yeah, that's true. TV isn't that great. I'm like, but Mom, I'm 20-some years old, and everybody knows me and loves me, and everybody wants me to fill their shows. So, I think I'm doing okay. She's like, no. So during hiatus, I started going to class at UCLA for the CFP program, the Certified Financial Planning program. And then when I was almost done with the program, the dean of the program, who happens to be regional director at Smith Barney, says, hey, Winnie, you're ready for Smith Barney. So I go to Smith Barney to their recruiting session, and everybody looks like you. Everybody looks like 5'10", beautiful. Everyone looks like a model. And I'm thinking thank goodness I have a job to go back to, because this is absolutely not going to work at all. But through that session, they're saying, you'd be so lucky if you got hired here. Everybody wants to work here, and this and that. And I'm walking out at the end of the session. We're all walking out, and then I get tapped on my shoulder. And they said, Miss Sun? I'm like, yes. They said, we need you to stay for a little bit. I was like, stay for a little bit? I was like, oh no, I parked in the wrong spot again. I get towed again. This is bad, right? And my boyfriend at the time, who's my husband, I was waiting in the lobby for him. I'm like, oh, he's gonna kill me, right? And then they said, we need to see you. So they walked me into this room, this big, beautiful room with the oak table and all these men on these beautiful suits with cufflinks and their initials stitched on, and every hair is perfectly gelled, and they almost shine. They're so beautiful. And I'm like, oh, what are we doing here? So sitting there, and then they say, well, we're going through my resume and this and that, and they said, young lady, we're gonna need a few minutes, we'll come back. I was like, oh no, this is really bad, right? Really, really bad. So they come back, I felt like an hour. So 8 men come back this time. 8 men in suits with cufflinks and stitched initials. And they say, young lady, we're not letting you leave this room today until you sign with us. And that's how I became a financial advisor. And so from there, I sold my business to a competitor, and the rest is history.
Okay, so from there, you're building this financial advisory practice, and how did you seize on social media as kind of the next step?
I'm kind of gotten pretty good at social media, a little bit. For those of you who follow me on Twitter, thank you. I love you, I adore you. So social media, again, I am a life of accidental situations, right? So those of you who may not know me that well will learn, interesting enough, I'm an extreme introvert. Not sort of an introvert, an extreme. For example, now that we've spent some time together, later tonight, I'm gonna have to sit in a dark room and decompress. I mean, that's how extreme it is. So then, back in the day when Facebook was starting off, my husband, who's who actually worked at Cisco at some time, he goes, honey, you should do this social media thing, Facebook. I was like, oh, what would I share? I don't have anything to share. And then so I skipped that. I didn't do social media until I was working at I was working at Smith Barney, and the manager goes, now all of you can do LinkedIn. And being the typical Asian kid, right? Okay, I gotta please manager. Manager says LinkedIn, I gotta do LinkedIn, right? Yeah, disappoint him. So I started doing LinkedIn, and it just became I set up a profile, and the next thing I knew, I signed a $250,000 client from LinkedIn. He was a 20-some-year-old tech entrepreneur. He's the CEO of a company, and he's like, I found you on LinkedIn. I felt like we had something in common, and therefore I decided to come and see you. So I signed him as a client, and a few months later he calls me and he says, Winnie. I was like, yeah. He's like, did you hear the news? I was like, what news? And he's like, oh yeah, it was in the Orange County Business Journal. My company got bought out. I'm like, it did? Congratulations. He's like, yeah. So I'm gonna send some money your way. I was like, okay, cool. He said, and I'm gonna introduce the CEO to you too, because they all need to work with you. I'm like, okay. I was like, okay, just so I can keep track of this wire, how much are we talking about? So I'll make sure to let you know when it's here. He's like, well, it's not that much in the beginning, but it'll be a little bit more in a couple of weeks. I said, okay. So he said, next week it'll be about 12 million. And about 2 weeks later, it'll be about 28 million. Make sure it all comes in. I'm like, okay. He's like, I'm sure you could come up with something fun for us to do. I'm like, oh, yes. I will come up with something fun for us to do. So that was sort of my eye-opening experience with social media. And so then I started really, really working social media. And then eventually I started on this small thing called Twitter. And a lot of people were saying, oh, Twitter this and Twitter that, but eventually Twitter will go away and they'll be one tweet away from bye-bye. But I kept on working on Twitter. And then now, I own the largest business personal finance tweet chat. And every Wednesday, we average between 150 to 350 million impressions per hour. To give you an idea how big that is, we eclipse pretty much all the biggest television shows, even on CNBC and whatnot. And that's just kind of how it sort of came to be. And now, yes, I do. And to give you an idea, people always ask me this all the time. I speak about social media. You may have seen me speak at Barron's or Forbes or VidCon at YouTube or YouTube conference or anything like that. And it's about building that reach and communication. And so the introvert became an extrovert via social media. And so right now, Investopedia ranks me as the #1 most influential female in the financial space. And I'm the regular money person on Good Day LA. I'm on CNBC and Cheddar and Fox Biz. I'm gonna forget something. And you may have seen, I've been writing for Forbes for about 7+ years. So, but my baby and what I do nowadays is I create video. This is my creative director, Curtis. This is my publicist, business manager, Robin, and we have an entire team. And if you ever come to Southern California, like Jason did, we have a studio in-house because my most happy place is I am a mom of 3. And that is really why I do so much social media, so I can spend more time with my boo-boos.
So has social media eclipsed your financial practice, financial advisory practice, or are they both kind of working lockstep together?
Well, my financial practice is almost 20 years old, so
Okay.
it's pretty big. But our social media sort of brand work that we're fortunate to work with our amazing partners at Sallie Mae, as well as Hertz Rental Car, and I do work with Adobe and quite Intuit and the QuickBooks, Intuit, a whole bunch of really amazing brand partners. So it's getting there. I mean, we're doing quite a bit of that type of work, and due to demand now, it looks like we're gonna. We have a television show coming out next year in 2020, so it'll be coming to a TV near you, and network show. And then after kicking and screaming of me not wanting to do it, it looks like we'll actually create a digital social media agency in the next couple years too, to help other financial firms do social media the proper, compliant, and very highly engaged way.
Well, it's a good place to be when you don't know which of your endeavors is more successful. But let's pivot a little bit to credit cards, because the reason you originally approached me last year.
I'm a fan.
What's that? Because you're a fan, but also because you have this passion for credit cards. And even amongst people I know who are extremely successful, a lot of them don't get it. Oh, they pull out their credit card. Yeah, I've been using this one for 8 years. Isn't that great? And I'm thinking that's like pulling out your cell phone and saying, I've been using the same cell phone for 8 years. Why is that so great? But you get it. You understand credit cards. How did you, what was your epiphany? How did you transition from probably just none of us were born with this. How did you transition from being just a regular credit card user to a power user?
Well, it only happened about 2 years ago. So it's interesting because, I hate the word influencer, but as someone with reach, a lot of brands want to partner with you. So Jet Suite had invited me out to their launch party out in Orange County. So I went there and sitting in this brand new private jet, sitting there, and I brought a couple of my clients with me. And sitting there like, oh, this is really cool. And then they were telling us about the packages, and I turned to my friend Julie, I'm like, this is actually doable, maybe I'll buy a package here. She's like, oh, I was like, you do it, we could do this together, we could fly, and this would be fun. And she's like, oh, Winnie, I do points. I was like, oh, yeah, you do points, okay. Points. And she's like, yeah, I pay everything on credit cards. I was like, really? She's like, I got like 5 million points. I'm like, wait, what? What can you do with 5 million points? And she started telling me, she's like, I've been paying my mortgage, and then she's like, she owns a wine business, right? She buys like really specific types of wine from Napa Valley and whatnot, and she's like, most of those places don't even take credit card. Who's from Plastique here? Anybody? Okay, so my friends are here. Okay, so then she goes, Winnie, I use Plastique and I get more points. I'm like, Plastique? What's Plastique? She's like, you could pay your mortgage. I'm like, wait, what? I could pay my mortgage? And then so that's when it got me thinking. It was like an aha moment. All of a sudden, she's like, all I know is we're on this private jet. She's sending me referral codes on my cell phone at this moment. So I'm like signing for credit cards. And then I started reading more and more the points guys, points buys in the house, right? Thanks everybody. And then it got to more and more, started reading Mark's content and Richard's content, all these people's content. And now like I am the most popular parent in my kids' school. Every parent wants to talk to me. I get invited to more parties than my 3 kids combined. And then my husband's like, oh yeah, they want to invite us over to pool, barbecue, and they're gonna want to talk to you about points. I'm like, this is just a hobby. This is my outlet of fun. This is not what I do for a living. They should just read like your stuff. But yeah.
Yeah, I get this too when I'm at a party and I get to talk about points. And my family's like, oh God, here he goes again. You know? But I also get what you're saying about like you're about to buy a share in a private jet, but then your friend says, oh no, you can just fly there with points and miles. And I often say like, well, if like the points and miles goes away or if the companion pass goes away, I'm gonna have to buy me a plane and fly myself around. You know, that's like my philosophy.
Well, you could fly it.
Right, I can fly it, but it's like, you know, I used to own an airplane. I was like, well, now I have points and miles. I don't even have to do that. I can just travel for free. So that's, I totally get that. So when you're dealing with your financial advisory clients, you know, you're teaching people how to manage their money. Does the points and miles aspect kind of weave itself in there?
It does. It's so interesting. You know, some of you have seen, I've spoken at FinCon for the last 3 years, and there's a booth by Dave Ramsey. And every single year, they want to take me out, they want to spend time with me, and I'm like, have you looked at my stuff? I love credit cards. I think you would think I was the devil, you know? I don't know if this is a great correlation, but I think what's really interesting on what I do is because I work with a lot of clients, high net worth clients. In fact, this might not come to a surprise for many of you, but I actually have a lot of clients in the movie television industry. So like, for example, the president of Sony is my personal longtime client. My president of Paramount is my longtime client. DreamWorks, I started working with them since 2005. So I now, because of my social media reach, I do work with quite a few celebrities, very well-known private individuals and whatnot, but I'm a big social media influencer. So absolutely for me, I see credit cards, absolutely, I love my credit cards. They are like my friends in my pocket all the time. But not only that, I think it's at like the next level of financial planning. And I think a lot of people be like, wait, what do you mean? Well, I'll tell you what I mean, okay? Because look at, if you're able to pay your bills off each and every month, which is what we preach all day long anyway, why not take it to that next level? If you're travel, like I travel for work, and I work for work, and I work to travel with my family. I probably travel, gosh, I mean, I have status at every airline, every hotel, but it really gives me such an incredible quality of life that I want to share with my clients. So when I meet with a client and I'm like, you know, you have everything. You have high income, you have houses upon houses, you have this taken care of, that taken care of. What if we could like, I was with two clients. I was on Friday, I was at two studios. I was at Sony Studios and I was at Paramount Studios meeting with my clients. And I said, how do you pay your taxes? And they said, oh, you know, my CPA wires. I'm like, what if I told you that your taxes would have paid for 30 round-trip tickets for you and your family? Jaw just dropped. So when I think about credit cards, I think about what a smart way to leverage money, what a smart way to take care of such an important financial goal, which is vacation, which everybody needs. Not only is vacationing a great financial goal, but it helps you keep sane. It's good therapy for us to keep going, like to avoid burnout. And not only that is it brings families and friends together, right? And it makes us more human and whole, and it makes us all amazing. And why not let my clients in on this great, amazing secret? And then in turn, the money that they would have spent on vacation, now they can put towards their retirement goals, to their philanthropy goals, whatever it may be. So I always think of it as that next level of financial planning, that next level of aha moment. And it's just as simple as take out your wallet, let me see what you got. And that's actually what I did. In the two meetings that I did, I signed a $40 million client in New York in the last couple years. And literally the first thing I did when I met with him, he's like, oh my gosh, you know, the hospital's foundation, pension, this and that, can you do that? It's like 15 minutes of that. And then the next 45 minutes, he said, Winnie, I'm just so curious, how'd you build out your Twitter following? So we talked about that, and he's like, I noticed your content, and we're gonna have to talk about points next. I'm like, yes. And then the next 20 minutes, it was just, can I take pictures with you? So this is exactly what I think the high net worth investor is interested in, because if we as advisors present something like this that we don't get compensated on, I think it makes a very unique value proposition. And so I'm very grateful for you and the entire community, because I read so many of you. Oh, we're Child 101, I see you, I love you. I mean, this is like my hobby that I have translated into, I think of this as my philanthropy back to my clients because I just send them your article.
Well, I'm thinking back to Adam's keynote this morning, and he mentioned we have different portfolios, and I've used the phrase in the past very similar. I say we have a portfolio of plastic in our wallet, although many of them are metal, and I've always compared it to like the role of a financial advisor. You're managing your returns, right? So you're managing investment returns. When I work with people on their credit card portfolios, I'm managing their returns on their spending, so to say, right? If they're getting 2%, they could be getting 2.5, or if their overall return could go up by getting a card with a great bonus in a certain category that they spend a lot, I'll try to help them manage that actively, probably more actively than a financial advisor would manage long-term investments. But I also talked to someone at FinCon a couple days ago, and they said something similar to what you just said. They said, I redeem my points and miles, and then I not write a check to myself, but I transfer the amount of money I would have spent, on that travel, and I transfer it to a separate savings account. I think they invested in a particular stock. And I was like, wow, that's a really neat thing. They're actually investing their savings that they got from points and miles, because we all know that sometimes we're able to receive outsized value when we redeem those points and miles for travel awards.
Yes, absolutely. I'm a big believer in that. So I actually just partnered with LinkedIn, and we created a course where I taught how to teach your kids about finance, how to teach your kids about money, right? And so, a big part of my process is teaching my 3 kids about money. So much it revolves around vacationing, right? About trip planning, about budgeting, teaching them about budget, about spending less money. And through vacations is like the ultimate experience. There's so many lessons that you can learn through the vacation planning world for teaching our children. I think that we should embrace that. But not only that, is that financial planning and points, although sometimes you might not think it's a direct correlation, but we can actually bring the 2 universes together and come together as one, because it's not us against this. It should be a beautiful thing. You should be saving for retirement. You should be vacationing on points. Why don't you do both, right? My clients have a $600,000 tax bill. Hello, Nick. What could you do with that, right? A $600,000 tax bill. And this is every year. My eyeballs almost popped out. I was like, and you just wire the money? Like, yeah, I just wire the money. Like, it was like very nonchalant. I was like, oh, the points.
Well, do you think those points really overcome the processing fees the IRS charge, the value of those points?
Yes, it is like.
Yeah.
And for many of us own business. I own 4 businesses, right? So for many of us, we'll have to see if there's any tax experts. But when I understand, what I read was that that's a potential tax benefit because most of the travel is for business.
Right. I read some work on this. It says in some cases it is we're paying those fees as a tax deduction. Sometimes it's not. If you use your points and miles, of course, for business, there's nothing to deduct, is my understanding.
I only use my points for business, so
you don't?
Never. I only use cash for business because I like to pick my kids are very, very points friendly. Like, we were literally at a timeshare presentation in Hawaii, right? Really fun. You're supposed to commit to 90 minutes, so within, we're talking and then they get through their presentation in about 30 minutes. I'm like, I appreciate this, but I'm not sure that I will be doing this because I do points. And my son jumps in, yeah, we got 2 million points, don't we have, Mommy? Why would we buy a timeshare? So it's like, the timing is perfect. And I couldn't cue him to be better. It was just so natural. But my kids understand points, and they embrace credit cards. And those of you in the room might be proud to know my 6-year-old is getting his credit card this month.
Wow.
Yes.
What kind of card? Is it authorized user on which card issuer will give you an authorized user for a 6-year-old?
Citi and Chase.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, Amex is 13 years old.
Wow. You gotta be that ripe, mature age till you can handle it.
Why not? Give them a credit card, right? I'm all big. So that's the thing. My parents did something right. At least they made me an authorized user at 16. I remember thinking, and I think, my kids are very aware that we use credit cards, and so now they're starting to understand how, the money goes from the bank to the credit cards. I think that's a challenge that we're working on. But yeah, I'm a big fan of credit cards. As long as you're paying them off every month, why not get a benefit from that financial responsibility?
Yeah, it frustrates me when I see people in the broader personal finance community, not quite at the Dave Ramsey level, but they see credit cards as the a facilitator of debt, which of course they can be. Sometimes I compare it to power tools, right? You can get injured if you misuse a power tool, but we shouldn't ban them.
Tell you that the media agrees with you, because so many times I'll be on a show or off, and then someone will come and ask me a question like, "Hey, Winnie, which credit card should I get?" I mean, they are very points friendly, and they are interested. And they might, "Oh yeah, so I just bought my son's vacation with points, like just I don't talk about it, but I do it." So absolutely, the media is mainstream media, the traditional, not like as cool as all of you. Oh my gosh, Richard is here.
Richard is here. Now, yeah, I mean, I've been on the local media in Denver several times, and I've got to be friends with them, and they call me up, and they're like, "Yeah, we're going to Hawaii. Can you help me book these tickets or whatever?" And they want to know like what the greatest points and miles exploits are at any particular time. And they come down and they interview me every few months and have this. So it's not LA. People in Denver don't recognize me, but it is interesting that some in the media are very savvy.
They are very savvy.
Yeah.
I was talking to my CNBC producers. They love this stuff. So then I'll go like, well, if I don't know the question, then I'll text Jason or Richard. I'll ask right now and I'll find out from you. And really, I think it's becoming more accepted. Certainly, I mean, it's so much. I mean, it's so much fun, right? And it's so empowering. But I just think it's so important that we talk about this openly. If someone is in a situation and they can pay their bills off completely, why not embrace what it can do, right? Sally Mae's about to announce something so cool. We're going to share something so cool about like paying off student loan debt with credit cards. I mean, really proud about that. But there's so many different things that credit cards can do. And not only that, I think about it from a financial literacy standpoint. This is a tool, whether we like to believe so or not. I mean, I don't know the last time you went into a bank. The last time I went to a bank, and I love my friends at Capital One, but I think I went to the bank one time this year, and that's because Chinese New Year, you need fresh, crisp bills, or you are really uncool. So, the bank had them reserved, so I went in and picked up my bills, but that was like the only time. But credit cards keep everything organized. I always say, it's like I work with QuickBooks and Intuit, right? They are brand partners of mine. I always say, I love it because credit cards naturally keep everything organized. And if you run businesses like I do, which is like 4 of them, how can you keep track of all your expenses if you don't use credit cards? And if those points translate into, free flights for my whole tribe of 5, I mean, 3 kids, that's a lot of tickets, mommies, right? You know what I'm talking about. And most of us, the time, we don't fit in one hotel room. So we got to
Yeah. Well, back to social media, I could ask you, how do I get 100,000 followers on Twitter or something like that? But maybe I'll put it a different way. What are you doing right that most people are not?
Oh, you're giving too much credit.
Sorry.
Well,
no, you're doing something right. How many Twitter followers do you have at the moment? We can look that up.
365,000.
How much?
365,000.
365,000. Over 1/3 Twitter followers. And
engaged.
Right. I mean, I think that's close to the population of some states, like Wyoming or something. I'm serious. And so definitely the adult population of Wyoming is probably a little bit less than that. So what are you doing that maybe some of your peers are not doing?
I handle social media by myself. That's probably the biggest thing. So when you tweet me or you reach out to me on LinkedIn or Facebook, whatever, the response comes from me. I was a number 3 beta user on LinkedIn Live. I'm very proud to say that. So I do partner with LinkedIn as well. But that is the biggest thing, is that when you tweet me, I tweet back. That's actually me responding. I do some automation. I definitely have a deep team that helps me create content. Curtis has a whole team under him, and we are creating video content all the time. I have 2 podcasts. And on top of Good Day LA, we're in production for our own show that's launching in 2020. So, I mean, I don't watch TV anymore except when I'm on TV. All I do is work, and I'm not working, I'm traveling. Yeah. I mean, like this year, I think between work and personal, I've probably done over a dozen trips,
But when I spend time with you, I don't see you on your phone every 30 seconds. I mean, how much time of the day do you spend on social media?
Okay, secret. How many of you want to learn how to do more social or get more followers?
Sure.
I mean, some of you, like Richard, could probably teach this course already, but the truth of the matter is, I subscribe to a very easy formula. It's called breakfast, lunch, and dinner, okay? So that means when you wake up, go on social, check what's happening, look at notifications, respond. At lunch, respond again for 15 minutes. Then after the kids go to sleep, I do another 15 minutes. And that's it. But there's a consistency. And how many of you have seen Richard Kerr's like award travel, and now he's at the Points Guide, his Facebook groups?
Huh?
So I'm bringing you out, Richard. You have to come out. But the beautiful thing about this is you have something scheduled. You have something consistent. So people know that on Wednesdays between 11 and 12 Pacific time that I will be on Twitter. It's really till 12:30. That means during that time, I have a community all across the globe of entrepreneurs and people who love personal finance, personal finance, social media, entrepreneurship, all that stuff, social media, they'll all come together and we'll talk and we'll have conversation. So there's a scheduled moment. So every Wednesday, most every Wednesday, we'll be there and we'll be talking. And the rest of the week we'll have communication. Usually Saturday and Sunday, they know I pretty much go dark. A lot of that's pre-programmed stuff that goes out. And also, we're sharing video every single day on all platforms. So there's that consistency. It's almost like a TV show because there's like different segments throughout the day. But also, I ask questions, and then I will respond to that, and I'll take them along. And I've learned so much from them. So, I'm gonna ask you, but some of you have seen my content, and some of my most popular content, believe it or not, I've learned is LA traffic and when I eat. People love this kind of stuff. We'll do like some incredible production video. It'll take Curtis and his team like a few days to produce, and then I'll post like a video of LA traffic, and I'll get like 4,000 views in like 10 minutes. And then I'll post like a live stream of just me talking about the week on a Friday, and it'll be like 10,000 views. So it's really about building that audience, and once you have that audience built in, that engagement, then you can pretty much like take a picture of your shoes and people will engage.
Wow.
But you have to give. So a lot of people, a lot of social media influencers, what they do is you'll see they have like a decent sized reach, right? But they'll follow very little people. And that's just not my personality. I feel like if you're gonna give, then I wanna give you back. If you hug me, I wanna hug you back. And I will try to, I'm just a naturally optimistic person anyway. So what I share on social is all positivity. Everything is positive. You'll never see one negative thing out of my mouth or a tweet or anything like that, because that's just not my style, right? So I am there for you when you need a friend. That should be a song. Is it a song?
It is.
Yeah, right? So, but if you're feeling gloom or you're feeling stressed out or whatever, you can go on social and you can reach out to me and I will respond to you. And I think, there's really nothing else. And then that beautiful blonde in the front table, Robin Stevens, has taught me so much. So if she is really such a big factor in my life because she's been my longtime publicist. She's like a sister to me. But when everybody was saying, oh, Twitter's dead, don't do Twitter, she's like, no, you're doing Twitter. I'm like, okay, doing Twitter. And she's like, and you're doing tweet chat. Okay, do tweet chat. So like, should I call it money talk? Should I call it money chat? Whatever. She's like, no, you're calling it hashtag Winnie Sun. Hashtag Winnie Sun. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's
a good name. It is a good name.
Assuming that I'm important, I feel like that's like too much like Winnie Sun, right? So I couldn't really get comfortable with it, but she pushed me to do it, and it was the absolutely right thing to do, because do that activity is how we really.
So 45 minutes a day, and you get to 300 plus thousand.
There's certain days I go. Like obviously Wednesdays. Wednesdays is at least 2 hours on Wednesdays, And then, and my team helps me do a lot. Like they help me wish people happy birthday. Mm-hmm. They help me check my messages on social media. I mean, we get brand requests almost on a daily. So media requests on a daily. And luckily, my team handles a lot of that stuff so that I've been saying a lot more no's than yeses these days, which is a beautiful thing. So I can do stuff like this, which is like this. I told my husband, he's like, oh, well, safe travels, get some rest. I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm so excited to go. Card.con is this is my fan moment. I met Mark today. People that I read and follow, I meet in person. It's like, I don't know why I'm here, but I'm glad I'm here because then I can actually meet you more because now you know who I am. Then I want to talk to you.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of us interact online, and one of the things I love about hosting this event is just seeing you guys connect in person. Like, oh my gosh, I've followed you, I read your stuff, it's great to meet you. And I love when I see that. I love the chance that we had to speak here. I usually do not like to speak at my own conference. I usually like to leave it up to other people to talk here. But Winnie, you've been fantastic. I've learned a lot about you just up here. We are going to adjourn here for the day. I've really thought we had a great day here. Again, industry attendees, we would really love to see you have some drinks and some appetizers. As you're walking out, you'll see that set up on the left. But then everyone I want to see back here tonight at 7:30 for the most fun event of the week. I know a lot of you have been here all week long and are getting tired, but you don't want to miss this. I'll be up at stage with a kind of risque topic, and we'll have another 6 or 7 speakers up here, plus of course Dan Ninen, the professional comedian. 7:30 right here. The media will have a couple hours to get dinner. The industry can get snacks and a drink, sponsored by our friend at Partner Centric and Parnix. Winnie, always a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.